The Lori Vallow murder trial testimony continued in the courtroom there in Idaho today. For more on what was said, we're joined here in the Live Now newsroom by Fox 10 Phoenix investigative reporter Justin Lum with the latest. Justin, good to see you yet again. Hope you had a good weekend. Testimony continuing yet again today. What should we know?
Well, Andrew, today really showed us the evidence that shows how technical this case is, how technical this investigation has been. We're learning how many phone numbers and devices Lori Vallow had associated with her, according to these investigators. And a Rexburg police detective from last week returned to the stand, Detective Dave Stubbs, telling the jury that 20 electronic search warrants were served in connection to Lori Vallow during this investigation, resulting in a mass amount of data. One warrant led to a bill in Sugar City, Idaho for Vallow's account associated to 18 phones. When Valllow refused to cooperate with law enforcement and show that her missing kids JJ and Tylee were safe back in 2019, Rexburg PD eventually tracked her down in Kauai in January of 2020, and officers seized 10 devices from her rental car. And in June of 2020, as we know the tragic story, authorities finally found JJ and Tylee's bodies on the property owned by Vallow's husband, Chad Daybell. Internet search records show Vallow shopping for wedding rings just months before Chad's then-wife Tammy died. Stubbs also said just a few days after Tammy's death, Vallow's account searched for wedding dresses in Kauai, where Lori and Chad married in November of 2019. As you know, husband and wife are accused of conspiring in Tammy Daybell's murder. Other witnesses came from the FBI as well, detailing Vallow, her late brother Alex Cox, and Daybell going through many burner phones with several numbers. One FBI agent discussed how cell towers work because, as we know, Alex Cox's device pinged in the Daybell backyard the days following the last verified sightings of JJ and Tylee, ultimately leading investigators to the children's remains. Andrew?
Yeah, so Justin, let's talk about those cell phone records even more. I have a question. I mean, why did both Chad and Lori possess so many of these devices? Is that a question that's central to the prosecution's case?
That's a good question. I believe the prosecution is laying out this map for a conspiracy in front of the jury to have so many phones and different phone numbers saved under different names. Because you have to remember, when Lori and Chad first met, they were both married at the time. They had their own spouses. So from what the prosecution is telling us, there was a full-on affair. They were hiding it even after Charles Valllow, Lori's fourth husband, died. And after Tammy Daybell died, those phones were in use. They're being switched out. And Alex had his own set of phones too. So just a real suspicious bit of activity going on there laid out for the jury.
Totally. Okay, what about the Google searches? How much of those did the jurors get to see today, and what did they contain? Pretty explosive, right?
Well, the searches I think that stood out was searching for wedding rings, malachite wedding rings to be specific, a certain type of ring before Tammy's death, and the wedding dresses after. I think that stood out to the jury as, okay, these two were in love and obviously were planning a life without their spouses. But also, due to Lori's account, one of the searches showed how to remove a rear tire from a Jeep. And as we know, Alex Cox is believed to be driving a Jeep Wrangler and shooting at the ex-husband of Lori Vallow's niece. That man, Brandon Boudreaux, who was shot at and survived, also had a sizable life insurance policy. So there was a whole Gilbert PD investigation into that. So that stands out as well, some of these searches that were out in the open.
Yeah. Okay, so what about Alex, though? His cell phone records, that was a key point today in the testimony as well. Are those interconnected?
Well, as we know, Alex Cox's cell phones pinged at specific times at the Chad Daybell property after JJ had been seen on September 22nd, 2019, after Tylee had last been seen September 8th, 2019. And these certain pings in the backyard basically lead authorities to the children's remains. Now, maybe not Lori's phone, but as we know through the prosecution, they've already said that Alex, even though he is dead now, is an alleged co-conspirator along with Chad Daybell. This is a mother who knew where her kids were. She was raising those kids, and all of a sudden, they end up in her husband's backyard, and her brother, who lived just a couple doorways away from her, is pinged in that backyard. it is going to be tough for the jury to not see a conspiracy here.
Yeah, there was another interesting search as well. Chad Daybell searching for the wind directions that day as there was a fire on his property, which way the wind would blow. Are they latching onto that, prosecutors?
Yeah, that has been named a couple of times too, because we know that witnesses, neighbors in the area had seen fires being started. We don't know what those fires were for. The neighbors had said they thought it was a bonfire in the Daybell property. Chad Daybell had also texted his then wife Tammy Daybell that he had to shoot a raccoon and bury the raccoon in the pet cemetery. We know that there were no raccoon remains found in that pet cemetery, and ultimately Tylee Ryan's remains were found in that area by authorities. So just a strange, disturbing sequence of events there with these Google searches and what was texted to other people from these suspects. Yeah, just lastly though on the searches, there was this term, another significant search there, the term Hiplos. What is that? What does that mean to Lori and Chad? Yeah, Hiplos is the name referred to Charles Valllow because, as we know from the Chandler case, the shooting of Charles Valllow, Lori's fourth husband, Lori and her inner circle allegedly referred to him as a dark spirit. He was named Garrett, he was named Ned or Nick Schneider, and all of a sudden he had become this stronger, darker spirit, according to this investigation. Very disturbing to say the least to call him Hiplos, and they had to cast out the evil from his body through these castings, and when that didn't work, well, we have a shooting that happens, and Alex Cox, the shooter, claims self-defense after an alleged fight with a baseball bat. So yeah, some very strange alleged beliefs there, and that's who Hiplos is. Yeah, this whole mythology that they came up with, renaming people in their lives who apparently possessed some of this dark energy. Okay, so it's only Monday. We have all week of testimony. What's happening next? Well, we expect to hear from Summer Shiflett at some point. We know that she was in the courthouse. Who is Summer Shiflett? That is the sister of Lori Vallow. There are a couple of other family members in there. Until this point, we have not seen any immediate family members of Lori Vallow come to trial and be present, besides Colby Ryan, her son, who was a key witness. So what are we gonna hear from Summer Shiflett? We know that there is a video call between them when Lori was in jail in June of 2020, just a couple of weeks after her kids were found. So I'm going to expect some intense audio from this call. Okay. And that will be big. All right. Justin Lum here in the Live Now newsroom, breaking down all the latest in the Lori Vallow murder trial. Justin, thanks so much. Talk again. Thanks, Andrew.